How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. We've got quite a few football-related things, a lot of sport-related stuff we're going to be talking about today. With me, as always, is Simon. Simon, let's jump straight into some of the Premier League results. I think it was a pretty interesting week of Premier League action. I think the big story is the kind of fan going down at Newcastle against when they took on Spurs. I'm sure you caught those kind of the scenes of the spectators coming together to catch the referee's attention and bring the game to a halt.
Yeah, sure. On a more sort of positive note, just before we get there, what a absolutely amazing turnout. It was just fantastic to see St. James rocking like that. It just kind of, I was totally, lump in the throat, goosebumps. It was really, really brilliant to see. And the way we started that game was just brilliant. Callum Wilson scoring in the second minute, the crowd erupting. I don't know if you noticed, but for the next sort of 15 minutes after that goal, you actually couldn't even hear the whistle being blown.
Yeah, yeah.
It really reminded me of kind of what every other weekend used to be like, watching the Toon on play on Tyneside. It was really, really good.
Bit of a double-edged sword that with Newcastle attacking so much in the first few minutes, especially against a side like Spurs, which are strong on the
Yes.
counter-attack, and Newcastle just leaving so much space at the back. It was always going to be a high-scoring one with
Yeah.
that, and unfortunately we couldn't get a result there. But look, but bodes well, I guess, for the future. There's a lot of solid players still at Newcastle. I wonder how many are going to be out there, or
They are. I think that you can certainly build a side around the likes of Callum Wilson and Joe Willock, who I think they're kind of proper schoolyard footballers. And I think honestly they can carry Newcastle quite far. Look, obviously I imagine that squad is going to change. 70%, even 80% of those players are going to be gone. But I do think that there's some really good forwards, especially to build a squad around. So I think that there's a lot of potential there.
just on the defensive side that there needs to be quite a shake
Yeah,
up, to be honest.
exactly.
But yeah, then the other game on Sunday, we'll jump to the Saturday games after this, was West Ham getting a win at Everton, something that's kind of saw coming.
Yeah, well,
Expected a result for West Ham there.
yeah, well, I think we had a bit of a turnaround in form actually from a betting perspective this week because we had both teams to score. We had both teams scoring in Leicester United, and I also tipped up West Ham on the draw no bet against Everton. So it was actually we had some good results there. But yeah, they Everton West Ham managed a 1-0 win at Goodison. So yeah, that was I thought that Everton looked a bit short in the betting there, so it was nice to get on a winner there.
And then going over to Saturday, we had Liverpool putting Watford to the sword 5-0,
Sure.
absolutely
Yeah.
smashing them, which is going to make for an interesting conversation for the upcoming fixtures against United, who themselves lost to Leicester 4-2. Lots of goals in that one.
Yeah, we, last week we talked about, United's two all draw against Palace not being anything to worry about and so on. But I don't know. They're starting to slip down the table. Solskjaer's job must look in jeopardy
Mm,
now. And I think we mentioned this before as well. With a squad of players like United have, I think there's just simply no excuse not to be in the top three. It is still early days, but I just think that it's slightly worrying for things to come. But going back to that Liverpool game, I must say that was an absolute masterclass.
yeah,
I mean,
another fantastic goal by Salah.
yeah, brilliant. Firmino got a hat trick and an assist. Their passing was just phenomenal. And it goes to show, I think personally, Mane, Salah and Firmino are all kind of all going at sort of between 90 and 100%. I think that there really aren't too many defenses that can stop them. It was
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant from Liverpool.
yeah, definitely going to be an interesting game next weekend. And
Yeah.
then we had City beating Burnley, expected there. Chelsea edging past Brentford, which was kind of an interesting one. I kind of fancied Brentford there to possibly
Mm.
kind of pick up a result. And, 0-1 is not really unexpected, but,
Yeah.
another good showing from them, even though they
Yeah,
lost.
exactly. That certainly shows resilience. There's no love lost between. Oh, there's nothing wrong with, going down one nil to a side at the top of the league when you've just been promoted.
And I think if that game had been played on any other day, I think they probably would have won it. Just considering the number of shots that they had
Mm,
compared to Chelsea, things just didn't quite
yeah.
go their way. But that's football for you. things have gone their way for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch them going ahead to the rest of the season. Let's jump over to some of the upcoming action, Simon. We've got the T20 World Cup starting today, I believe. It is today. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So we've had quite a few warm-up games up until now, and I must say there's some interesting teams in this cup. I mean, Oman, the Netherlands, and even Papua New Guinea.
PNG.
Yeah, PNG. Yeah,
Proper shithole, that country, gosh.
yeah. Well, with some of the teams competing, which is it's quite interesting. I mean, the Proteas got off to a positive start at least in the warm-ups. I mean, obviously, no big deal, but beating Afghanistan by 41 runs. In some of the other warm-up games, India beat England by 7 wickets, which is quite a walloping, and Australia beat New Zealand by 3 wickets. But tomorrow is when it starts in earnest, and at 4 p.m. the Proteas will play Pakistan. Sorry, that's actually also a warm-up game. My apologies.
Yeah,
But
I
at
see
4
there's a
p.m.
bunch of warm-up games still going on.
Yes, so
It's very
so I'll,
confusing. It's
I'll yeah, it is. It is rather. And that actually is our final warm up game tomorrow against Pakistan. That's at 4 p.m. But our first game is actually against Australia, which will obviously be quite a tough one, and that's on Saturday. So that would be South Africa's first game in earnest. So yeah, we'll see. That's obviously quite a tough opening
yeah.
encounter for the Proteas.
Bookies not giving South Africa much chance here. I see they're over at around 10-1 to lift the trophy. India's obviously the favourites, 3.25. We've got England at 3.9, and then Australia, and those are the top three really. After that, it's pretty
Yeah.
much between. I mean, yeah, pick a side after that. Is you've got New Zealand, Pakistan, South Africa, West Indies, all trading within a few points of each other. Even Sri Lanka out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no odds available yet on the individual matches. Well, especially, I mean, Australia, South Africa. But I think once the results of the warm up matches are known and the squads are finalised, then we'll see some odds. So I imagine tomorrow, pretty much after the Pakistan game, you'll see odds on that.
Who do you fancy as the outright winner?
Um, sure. I think India.
Yeah, boring pick, but I
Yeah,
feel the same.
I know. I mean, it's just it. Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to look past them. I think they've got the best squad depth. Yes, I think they'll make a good push.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, look, England. I think England are reigning champions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't look past India, and just even looking on the odds from odds perspective, it's not good for anyone outside of the top three. Australia might be
No.
a little bit of value at 5, but yeah, I'd probably pick between England and India, to be honest. I don't
Yes.
think you could go
Yes.
wrong with either of those two.
Right. I mean, I suppose the nature of T20 though, if you can get a side that can kind of get to the semis, to win kind of 2 matches after that in these kind of situations in T20, where it is often a coin flip, you might end with a sort of semi outsider. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's tough to look past those two.
Yeah, I just don't see any good value on these outsiders. I mean,
Mm,
even South Africa at 10-1 is just not a great price. Like,
yeah.
I think would be rather 15-1 or something like that. Then I might be tempted to get
Yes.
involved, but I don't see there's a chance in hell that we're gonna
Yeah.
win. Hopefully I'm wrong, but
No, I
we
agree.
just yeah. Anyway, let's move over to some Champions League, which is kicking off. Well, it's already kicked off, but we've got some matches tonight. We've got
Yes.
Atletico Madrid versus Liverpool looks quite interesting. That's probably one that I'll watch. And then we've got PSG versus Leipzig. Not too much of interest there. And then on Wednesday we've got Man United taking on Atalanta, and Zenit taking on Juventus. Not too many big fixtures. I think the most interesting one for me is going to be the Atletico Madrid versus Liverpool game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and um, Atletico obviously host Liverpool after beating Barcelona and AC Milan. AC Milan in actually the previous round of the Champions League, and they actually haven't lost a home game since losing to Chelsea in the round of 16 in the last Champions League, which is quite incredible.
Jeez, yeah,
They've
they've
had
been.
quite a few draws, but
How
they
many of
haven't
those
lost.
have been 1-0? I wonder. They're also the one nil wonders.
Well, yeah, that's going to take me to my bet actually on this one, which is under 2.5 goals. I mean, obviously you can't ignore Liverpool's form either, and I think they are worthy favourites here. I'm not sure I'd put them quite at 13-10. I'd probably make it a little bit more even than that. But I think backing under 2.5 is the way to go here. I think Atletico will be more than happy to play for a point, and I think it probably will be quite a cagey affair.
Let's see, under 2.5, 1.82, not a bad price. I do agree with you there. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring match, especially with Atletico involved. They are just,
Yeah,
I don't want to say negative football, but they do play a very strong defensive kind of style, also, especially at home. So,
yeah.
I might even take a 1-0 on Atletico there.
Mm,
It's going to be an interesting match. Liverpool are quite heavily favoured for a result there,
yeah.
which is quite surprising, to be honest.
Mm.
But yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
Especially obviously with which we'll talk about in a bit with the match against United
United.
coming up on the weekend as well.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well just jump into that now. I
Mm.
think there's a couple of fixtures this weekend that are interesting. There's Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Arsenal 1.92. We didn't mention it in our recap, but they drew 2-2 with Crystal Palace last night. It was the last kick of the
Yeah.
game. I can't remember, was it Lacazette who scored that equaliser in
Yes.
the 90th? Um,
Yes.
but yeah, 1.92 against Aston Villa. That's a bit of a gimme price. I like Arsenal at 1.92 against Aston Villa. I think that's crazy. That's
Yeah, and I imagine that their 2-2 draw against Palace is probably playing into that price a bit. Arsenal, obviously, last night. So yeah, I was expecting something a little closer to 1.75, 1.8. So that does look a bit of value to me as well.
I mean, like I'm not saying it's much on the side of Arsenal. I still don't think they're performing very well at all. But they're playing against Aston Villa. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not beating Aston Villa at home, then you've got big problems, which Arsenal do have. But this is a match that they really should be winning, and I just think their price is
Mm.
too tempting not to take. Then other matches we've got Chelsea taking on Norwich, bit of a well, not too much interest there. West Ham taking on Spurs. I think that should be quite an interesting one. West Ham have themselves as favourites there, slight favourites. I think that could be a pretty interesting match.
Yeah, I think so. I think that looks like quite a nice London derby. That, I mean, where look, always traditionally been a very very good home side. Obviously we got on them last week against Everton away from home, but yeah, I mean, look, I suppose a lot of people say, oh well, it's West Ham, they're playing at home, they are favourites. Why should they be favourites against Spurs? But I think that price looks about right. But I
Hmm.
would still, even at those odds, I would if I was forced to take a side there on the draw no bet, I would certainly pick West Ham over Spurs in that situation.
Yeah, I quite fancy both teams to score in that one. Actually,
Mm.
I think that's going to be probably the highlight of the Saturday games for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then let's go over to the big one: Man United versus Liverpool, taking place on Sunday. Man United are 2.9. We've got
Mm.
Liverpool at 2.3. What are your fancies there? I fancy straight off. I fancy Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously United being at home, underdogs, it kind of raises questions, but you can't ignore, if you look at these two sides, they are in rather contrasting form. So it's for me, I don't like that price on Liverpool. I
No, it's
think
not great.
13 to 10 is not the biggest price for an away win against obviously a side which could still, make
So,
a
yeah,
serious push this
it's
season. It's
arguably a
still early.
top. It's a top four side,
Yeah,
hands down.
absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously, Liverpool have got a big game against Atletico on the weekend. United have a slightly easier draw against at Atlanta, I would say. So that's something that's maybe playing a little bit in United's favor. But I don't know. I look at. I mean, if you look at the goal line on this as well, it's tricky for me to make a call on that either. I mean, look, it's favoring overs quite a bit, and I could see Liverpool quite easily scoring 2 goals in this match, whether they win it or not.
Yeah,
So I think overs looks the right call there. I think that 1.63 available on Betway looks a little short though. So I would pick this as an overs game. So I can't argue with the bookmakers there. Yeah, I kind of want to back Liverpool here, but it's not a good enough price for me.
yeah. I fancy Liverpool to win. I don't think I'll be having a bet on this one. I like both teams to score, but that price is also terrible.
Yeah,
And even just because the price is so bad on both teams to score, I'd rather just go the other way and say and both teams not to score, because it's 2.4 for both teams not to score, which I think is
yeah,
pretty crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, it's not the bet that I like. I like both teams to score, but I am tempted by that no price.
Mm,
There's no value backing Liverpool, rather United on the double chance here. I think the 1.6 is just not good enough. Even United on the draw no bets, I don't think they're winning this one. Maybe Liverpool on the draw on a bet, you're going to get about 1.7. That seems like
Yeah,
it might be a reasonable punt, just having a look
yeah,
at all the other odds.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, not a. You're obviously getting way under even money on that draw no bet, but I think that's a safer way to go. I think Liverpool's the side. Yeah, I'm just not sure that the odds are good enough.
Well, so predict the winner there, Simon. I'm going to go with Liverpool winning 2-1.
Okay, I'm going to go with Liverpool 2, and I'm going to say 2-0 to Liverpool, actually.
Okay, that's. Oh, there's my both teams to score no coming in. So, better get on that one. All right, so while we're both at Liverpool there, it's going to be interesting. I mean, hopefully this is not one of those points where Liverpool just like do a topsy turvy and flip around on their
Mm,
season and just go absolutely down the gutters like we've seen in the past where
yeah,
they're flying and then they just run into a rock or another side and it just all goes downhill for them. Hopefully this is not that point. Then
yeah,
the
we'll
other,
see.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said no. That should be interesting to see that. Yeah.
Then the other match on the Sunday that's maybe worth talking about is Brentford versus Leicester. Brentford's are it's pretty much a pick 'em to be honest. Brentford 2.67, Leicester 2.69. Got to kind of fancy Brentford there at that price. Although I don't want to get too involved. I'd rather get involved in a drawn a bets on at 1.88 on Brentford there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's as much as I'm certainly vying for Brentford this season. I mean, let's not forget they are a newly promoted side. I think we've seen good things from them. It's still early days. Leicester are also a very very good side. So I think that the fact that the bookmakers can't split these two with Brentford at home looks about right to me. So I'm not jumping on Brentford at that price. I mean, Leicester are a very good side. I think again though. I mean, Leicester, when Leicester involved, I think both teams to score and goals is generally quite a good bet. And I think I mean, if we look at the price here, I mean, both teams to score, I imagine will be
Yeah,
on the
1.76.
yeah. So it's not. I mean, it's not a gimme, but it's certainly favoring both teams to score. I think that would probably be my bet in that match.
All right, great. And then, Simon, you've got some Formula One action coming up. F1 USA. Sure, you've got
Yeah,
a bet for us there.
yeah. So it's the USA Grand Prix in Austin, in Texas. It's at what they call the Circuit of the Americas, or COTA for short. And I mean, this is a home race for the Haas team, which is the only American-owned F1 team, and by far the worst of the bunch. I mean, even with a Ferrari engine under the hatch and Schumacher's son Nick on their team, they've scored 0 points this season, and it'll probably stay that way. To be fair, that said, I mean, Haas will get lots of support in Austin. There are 100,000 people expected to
Oh,
be there.
crazy. None of them with
Yeah.
masks, eh?
Yeah, I was going to
Uh,
say probably most of them unvaccinated if you know anything
yeah.
about Texas and its politics. So it'll probably be America's next super spreader event.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, anyway, onto more interesting teams. I think, I mean, look, this is a race that Mercedes always targets sort of maximum points every year. It favors them. It's somewhere where Hamilton has had very, very, very good races. It'll kind of be a race where Max Verstappen and Red Bull will be kind of looking to sort of limit the damage rather than kind of go on the attack. And then if you look at the odds, you'll see Hamilton's a quite strong favorite over Verstappen, which is obviously the exact opposite of what we had a week ago. And I think there's two reasons for that. Mercedes, I mean, they outperformed Red Bull last week in practice, qualifying, and race day, which is quite unusual. They've kind of been sort of going back and forth, and it was a sort of all round. Even though there was only 2 points in it at the end of the race, it was a kind of a very dominant whole weekend performance from Mercedes over Red Bull. So I think also the fact that Mercedes have won this race 5 of the last 6 times it also says a lot. So yeah, I think
But it's
I think
Hamilton to win.
well, he's around 1.75 or
Ooh,
1.74 around
I'm
there.
seeing two. Sorry, I'm looking at practice here. I've got the complete wrong thing up. I'm like, wow, that was a decent price. 1.83.
Okay, well that's
1.83.
yeah. So that's it's sort of the reverse of last week, and I don't think you could really argue with that. I think it'll be quite interesting to see how McLaren and Ferrari kind of doing this, because there's another jostle there between for position that might be a more sort of interesting dynamic this weekend. But I think Hamilton's the pick. I'm just not sure those odds are good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Have you had a look at any in-play betting on F1 recently? Because I haven't, to be honest, not in a long time.
No, it's really not something that I do very often. I mean, I've had one or two, but I think a better way to go about it is to try and sort of make your if you want to sort of take an alternative way to bet F1. I think what you should rather do is try and bet either before or after qualifying, because obviously odds can shift then. So if you feel like a team might not qualify well, but they might do well in the race, you might get a sort of inflated price. But I think I don't know, in play in F1 betting is not for me.
I think I might give it a look this weekend because I'm just quite interested just to see how it is these days.
Mm,
Just what the product's like
yeah,
and how long the markets are suspended or how what the betting options are because there's just not too many
yeah,
betting options pre-match that are available. So I'm quite
no,
interested to,
sure,
to have a look
yeah,
and yeah, we'll report back on that one next week. But that's it, guys. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to hopefully be doing a live stream this weekend. We're going to see if everything works out. We're going to have a nice little prize that's going to be up for grabs, or a couple of prizes. Hopefully, we can get all of our ducks in order for that this weekend. I will pop it up on the YouTube channel if we get everything sorted. But guys, thanks for tuning into the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.